Hello everyone, TP Gaming here, and welcome back to Her Story. If you were here for the first episode, then just hang on, but for those who weren't, go and check the first episode of this out, otherwise you will be completely lost and you won't be caught up with the rest of us. So go back and watch that first. But for those of you who have watched the first part, welcome back. So we will be hopefully finding more out here about the mystery of, first of all, where is Simon, what has happened to Simon, and the mystery of this woman who seems to be either a schizophrenic, or she's two people, or a twin. I'm not entirely sure, but we're going to find out today. So, at the end of the last episode, I did ask if there was any words or anything that you wanted looking up. Well, Mrs. TP Gaming has taken a shine to this video and is quite into this, so she has given me a list of things that she wants me to look up. One of those was attic, so we're going to start with attic. We also have a few others: twin, father, childhood, tapping, Morse code, other things to look up as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, this one down here, when I loaded up, I added it to a session from the previous page that I was on, and now it's here and I can't get rid of it. So this is just going to be here. It's not a video we haven't looked at. We've seen it before, but I can't move it. You can move all of these to this session. I'm not entirely sure what that's for. Whether we're supposed to be doing that, I don't know, but that's why it's there. So if you see me not clicking it, it's because we've already watched it. And I think we've already looked at all of these as well with attic, so I must have typed that in at some point because they don't have the little icon. So we'll go for twin. Nope, not Tien, twin. We're off to a great start here. Twin. Excellent. So we've got 3 videos. Well done, Mrs. TP Gaming. We've got 3 videos to watch.
Twins? Really? Are you really asking me that question?
Ooh. Now that reflection that's just happened there, and the music change, clearly means we're on the right track. We're getting somewhere. That's a crucial piece of information, perhaps. But another tidbit from Mrs. TP Gaming, she said that is the reflection, or possibly the reflection, of this woman. Not 100% sure, because every time it flashes up, I'm playing this real time. I haven't actually rewound and found it yet. But if you want to pause and have a look and see who that actually is, that could be quite interesting.
Are you out of your mind? Twins?
Okay. She's dead against the twins in this clip then. We've seen this clip, so what's this one about?
There were always princes and princesses. They were the special people, more important than the other characters in their stories. We knew we were like that. Twins. Magical. We were the princesses. We had a poster of Princess Diana from the newspaper.
Princess Diana, maybe we'll have that as a
hiding
clue.
Place. And underneath we used to put all our special things. When her engagement was announced, we were obsessed with everything she did. And later, when her life went so bad, we felt for her. Her divorce last year just kind of drew a line under things.
See, now if she is a schizophrenic, that would make sense. As she is both Hannah and Eve, and she's both of these people. She just acts out both of their lives because the other twin perhaps died years ago and what have you. But that is weird because this version of her wants nothing to do. She's very nervy, kind of like twin. I don't have a twin. What are you talking about?
Are you out of your mind?
You know, she's absolutely crazy here.
Twins.
And then this version of her
There were
is a
always
bit more
princes and princesses.
positive. She's a bit
They were
more like, yep, this is what we used to do. This is our childhood. Completely different person. Very, very strange. That's part of the mystery. Let's go for father. We have nothing for father. Just that song she sang, which was a bit unnerving. We've done attic, so childhood. Aha, 2 childhoods. But again, we've got 2 different versions of her here, basically. We've got this type of interview and this interview she does.
Childhood sweethearts. Something like that. When you married, detective? If one of us got hurt, the other one would have to be hurt too. A grazed knee, a bruise. When I lost my tooth first, we had to pull our harness to match. Once, I slept with a boy who was seeing another girl. The girlfriend came up to Hannah the next day and punched her in the face, gave her a huge black eye. That night, she had to do the same to me. And she almost went too far. I couldn't see out of that eye for days. She snuck frozen peas up for me from the kitchen. So much of our bodies were synchronised anyway. We started our period on the same day. All our childhood diseases, stomach bugs, nits.
I think injuring each other, just so you've got the same injuries, is a bit too far for the whole twin thing, to be honest. Okay, tapping. So this was thought about because of what she did on the desk in the previous video. She did some sort of weird code thing when she thought she wasn't being watched, and it was a bit strange, and it's worth pursuing, I think.
When we weren't together, we'd send secret messages.
Here we go. Secret messages by tapping out a code.
The knock code.
The knock code.
Something prisoners of war would use.
Okay.
We tap them out on radiator pipes or the attic floor.
This is it.
Dad thought we had mice, but they couldn't find any. Bought a cat anyway.
Okay, so what is the knock code? That's interesting. Is that something? Is that something real? Tap code. So it is a real thing. I've just googled it. Okay. I'm going to try and work this out. And I'll come back to you in a second, hopefully, with the answer with this knock code. Okay, so I have just researched the knock code. If you want to Google it yourself, you can. It's basically a 5x5 grid with all the letters of the alphabet placed into the grid, with the letter K being omitted for redundancy, apparently. Who knew? So basically, you won't know this unless you're looking at it, but one tap, 1 to 5 taps equates to a different row, and then 1 to 5 taps equates to a different column, and then you get your letter. So in this one, which was the original one, she taps out love you, is what she taps out here. This will make more sense if you get the grid up yourself to have a look at. But she spells out love you here. It was a bit tricky to understand, but she gets love you. So that's L, that's O, when she's finished, and then V, and then E, and she ends with U at the end there. So, this one is a little bit more interesting, as she spells out "Bye Hannah" as in B-Y-E, as in goodbye Hannah.
And we weren't together, we'd send secret messages
is
by
interesting.
code that we'd learned from a book.
So we have
The
"Bye
not
Hannah"
code.
and we have "Love You," which I'm
Some
going to
prisoners of war
actually,
would use.
I think,
We'd take them
research.
out on radiator height or the attic floor.
But apparently this, she's right though, this was used by prisoners of war to send secret messages to each other. It's probably still used today in some areas.
Dad thought we had mice.
But that's, yeah, so we now know what she means by that. And like I say, if you want to look it up, look up the not code, is what she calls it. It's called the tap code, is what I found on Google. So if you research the tap code on Google, that should lead you to help you understand what that means. So, since we're back and running here, let's go straight in with "bye." Nothing. So I doubt there'll be a "bye Hannah" then, because it all seems to, yeah. Okay, well let's go with "love." Aha, that's brought some stuff up. Okay.
Thanks. Please find Simon. I love him so much.
Okay, so that's her leaving her initial interview, I think. Music's changed there, that's interesting.
No. I mean, everyone loves Simon. He was so nice to everyone. He loves me.
Interesting, she has...
Cute.
Is that a
He must love them
tattoo on
very
her?
much. What ages are they?
That's interesting. Tattoo on her arm. I wonder if that leads anywhere. It does indeed. Now I'm wondering if this version of Hannah or Eve has a tattoo and this one doesn't, or if they both do, who knows?
No, he doesn't have any tattoos.
Okay, so Simon doesn't have
He
any
has a
tattoos.
scar down here near his stomach, past his hip. Cut himself with some glass. That was before, a long time ago. He looks just like the photo. He's not got his glasses on here though. He takes them off for the camera. But he needs them to see properly, you know. He has to read a newspaper or a menu in a restaurant. Not books so much, or watching TV. He likes TV.
That's interesting. Why has he got a scar from glass all the way down his stomach? That's not just an accident, is it? He's not just smashed a bottle and it's gone, oh no, I've cut myself. That's, you know, if he's got a scar all the way down his stomach, that sounds a bit more to that. I'm going to have a look at scar. She says that was before and then doesn't continue what she was saying there.
Oh, my tattoo. I got it to express my individuality. It's an apple and a snake.
Okay. I'll have apple and snake. Ooh, we got an achievement for that. Okay.
So I moved out. Got a small bed sit. Got my tattoo to mark the occasion. I was singing in a bar in the evenings. So I had some money, enough money to cover my rent. And I've been doing something similar ever since.
Okay.
I haven't put down any roots. I don't exist.
Okay.
He saw me singing one of my shows. Pure chance. Not sure I remember what he was even doing there. Afterwards, I had a drink at the bar and he came over and we got talking. I knew who he was. Obviously I knew who he was. But he didn't know who I was. He was fascinated by the likeness. He guessed my name from my tattoo. Told me it was a palindrome, like that would impress me. I enjoyed talking to him. It was amazing to be able to sit and interact and talk to him after all this time. He didn't tell me he was married. I'm not sure what he was thinking. He later told me it was like he was dreaming. A waking dream.
So, that's got to be Eve then. Because apple and snake, her name is Eve, that's got to be the Garden of Eden. That's got to be what that is referring to, surely. Let's go for the knock code, in case that was mentioned again at some stage. No, okay. I think Princess Diana is probably another. Oh, okay. Maybe just actually, if you spelt it right, maybe it is Princess Diana. Aha.
Yeah, we were 17. It was a nice wedding, people said. Simon looked very handsome in the photos. His parents paid for everything, but he's an only child, so it was important to them. It was what they called a shotgun wedding, but if you looked at the photos, you couldn't tell. The dress was beautiful. It looked like Princess Diana's. The train wasn't quite as long though. There's a great photo of the bridesmaid helping to carry it out of the car.
Just watch that again.
Yeah, we shotgun wedding, but if you looked at the photos, you couldn't tell. The dress was beautiful.
Okay, maybe
It looked like
dress.
Princess Diana's. The train wasn't quite as long though.
We'll go with dress, and then maybe wedding.
No, he was as shy as me. I asked a friend to ask him out for me. We had our first date at the Odeon in North End. We went to see Risky Business. I had on my one best dress.
This
Simon
woman
paid.
doesn't have a
He bought me a
tattoo.
whisper, and I was worried about getting chocolate on my teeth.
This is Hannah. That's Hannah, that's not Eve. Eve has a tattoo of a snake, apple and a snake. That's Eve. When we're talking to Eve, she has the tattoo. This must be Hannah, because she
No,
does not
he was as
have a
shy as
tattoo.
me. I asked a friend to ask him out
So
for
we're
me.
not talking to the same person all the way
We
through
had our
here.
first date at the Odeon in North End. We went to see Risky Business. I had on my one best dress.
That's why this
Simon
one.
paid.
So
He bought me a whisper, and I was worried about getting
that
chocolate on my
explains
teeth.
quite a bit. That explains quite a bit. That explains why Simon seems to be both known and then not known, and then it's like an affair or whatever. So I think Eve stole Simon, perhaps. So that's Eve, but this is Hannah. And I think that's confirmation that we have both twins here. And one twin, Hannah, is a little bit more, so she's had a bit of money, she's got a bit more of a life sorted out. Eve, not so much.
Hannah was so smitten with Simon. She started getting jealous, didn't want to share. Even the first date, We went to see Tom Cruise at the Old Odeon. We both went. Kept changing places in the toilet. We only had one best dress, so we had to keep swapping clothes.
No.
Must have thought we had terrible bladder problems. The next date, it was my turn.
They've both been seeing Simon
at
as
the end, I
in,
let
like,
him kiss
without
me.
him knowing.
But that was it. We didn't want another card on our hands, and the Ouija board had said to hold back. After that, it was Hannah's turn, and she slept with him. Broke the rules. Deliberately broke the rules. She wanted to be the first to sleep with him. I mean, that's when she got pregnant. From that one time.
Okay, wow. Okay, so the twins have been living a singular life, just interchanging with each other all this time. So it sounds like they did it with somebody called Carl, who we'll also look at as well. But they have interchangeable dates then. So poor Carl and poor Simon, they thought, oh yeah, I've got a date with Hannah tonight, but really Eve takes her place and you have a date with a completely different person, and then they just switch. So they just share this common life. Wow. Let's just try wedding. Okay, so this is Hannah.
I guess you could call it that, but we were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to Come Back and Stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us. Yeah, that's Simon's watch. It was a gift from Eric. He got it this year. It was a wedding anniversary gift.
So do we think this
Steel.
has got to be
It would have
Hannah,
been
yes?
Diane who chose it. She has really nice taste.
It's difficult to see when we haven't got their tattoo.
That time, you must eliminate me. I was in Glasgow then.
Okay, so she was in Glasgow when... Wait, hang on.
You must eliminate me. It has really nice taste. That time, you must eliminate me. I was in Glasgow then.
Got it this year. Yeah, that's Simon's watch. Why would that
You
eliminate?
must eliminate me. I was in Glasgow then.
Eliminate you from what? Okay, let's go with Scar. Okay, nothing for Scar. Don't think apple or snake is really going to tell us anything different to that other. But we'll try it. Yeah, that's just going to bring... It's just going to bring those up. That's okay. Right, have we looked up Eric before? I can't remember. No.
He was wearing a shirt, a blue turtleneck shirt and jeans. He has a watch. It's a really nice one. That was a gift from his boss, Eric. He had his coat, a long grey duffel coat, like Paddington Bear. He would have taken that with him. It's not in the house.
Okay.
Yes, there's a car that we share, a Cavalier, and a van he uses for work. It's owned by Eric, but we look after it. Both of them are there now, parked in the street. I'm not sure about the keys for the van. I can look for you when I get back. Yes, that would be in his wallet. It's a Visa, a silver one. He doesn't like to spend money he doesn't have, so he usually pays with cash. But Eric convinced him to get one. Well, Eric was like an uncle to him. They were pretty close. They spent a lot of time with each other.
Was?
Especially when they have to go to conferences.
Was
You met
like
his
an
wife,
uncle.
Diane?
Was like an uncle? Or is like an uncle? At this point, we just think he's
Eric
missing,
was like
right?
an uncle to him.
Eric
Eric
was like an uncle to him.
They were pretty close. They spent a lot of time with each other.
They were pretty
especially
close.
when they have to go to conferences.
But now it's when they have to.
Have you met his wife, Diane?
Do you think that's just a slip of the tongue? Do you think that's just her speaking? Or do you think that's relevant that she said they were? At this point, we just think Simon's missing. We don't think he's necessarily been murdered or come to any harm. He's just missing. Unless Eric has died. But she hasn't mentioned that, I don't believe. Let's go with Van Keys. I wonder if she ever checked that. No. I want to go we're straight in here with murder. We have two clips because I actually started with this one I think earlier.
I didn't murder Simon. You've got it wrong. You've got the wrong person.
Okay, you've got the wrong person. We'll be the judge of that. Eve.
I'd like to speak to a lawyer now. Please. You have no murder weapon. You have nothing. And all these stories we've been telling each other. Just that. Stories.
Spoken like a killer who knows they might get away with it. Okay, so yeah, we don't have a murder weapon and we don't have any evidence of any kind. And what evidence could we come up with? So she asks straight away for a lawyer, which is always like a red flag.
Can I leave? Are you going to arrest me? No. They'd laugh you out of the building. A lawyer would make mincemeat of you.
She's getting a bit angsty as well. I think that's not Eve. I think that's... They do wear their hair differently. If you look, Eve is kind of a bit more messy haired, whereas Hannah is a bit more put together. Also,
Yes, I understand that, right?
if you look at... Oops. If you look at Hannah's hand, she wears a wedding ring, and Eve does not.
Yes, I understand my rights. No, I don't need a lawyer.
Are you sure about that, Eve?
Yes, no lawyer. What are you going to arrest me for?
To be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure. We've seen this one, haven't we? This is where she wants the lawyer.
I'd like to speak to a lawyer now.
So now you want to speak to a lawyer. So what prompts that then? So she doesn't want a lawyer, and then we must hit her with something, and now she wants a lawyer. Okay. We had Doug and Eleanor mentioned before. That's hopefully going to give us some...
I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. I feel sorry for them.
So this is Simon's parents then.
I hoover, I dust every week. Maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week, but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day, around an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes. When I was there, I saw her She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage, and she still has a secret like that.
Yeah. She has a secret stash of cigarettes, and you interchange with your twin sister whenever you feel like it.
Okay. I parked up in the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper, but he wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly in the living room. Nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. This time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor. And then I decided to come and see you. That enough?
I'd like to see those phone records.
A mobile phone? Yeah. Well, they have one for the Glaziers, but it's only for work. I can't remember the number. Oh, it's in the kitchen. I saw it plugged into its charging cradle. Sure. Yes, of course, if that would help. Will you phone the house to let me know when you want to come round? Then I can make sure that I'm there.
Or is it that you wish to clean away evidence?
Yes. I got to Glasgow. I was exhausted, so I pulled over and slept in the car. I woke up because a rubbish truck went past. I got some petrol, bought a coffee and a pastry, tried calling someone from the payphone, and then headed back.
So she's been in Glasgow. Is that
Yes.
Hannah? Yeah, that's Hannah. You can just about make out a Reading. So Hannah and the straight hair. So Hannah has been in Glasgow. Her hair's kind of messy here, but she's got a wedding ring on there.
It was
She's
after
playing
dinner.
with it.
I'd spoken to Sam's parents on the phone. I looked.
Something's not adding up there. So are you in Glasgow or are you not in Glasgow? Did she come home from Glasgow to find that Simon's not there? Is that what's happened here?
Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I parked down the end of the road. I walked up to the house. I knocked on the door. No answer. I took my keys out of my bag, unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. I could tell because the key wouldn't turn when I tried to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes on the shoe rack. I shouted out for him. I walked straight into the kitchen. He usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper. He wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly into the living room. Nothing. I walked upstairs to the bedroom. He wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. Then I had a shower. Whilst I was in the shower, the phone rang. I think it was Eric, his boss. I didn't answer it. Then I came out and I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, but I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. I spoke to him. Then I called Simon's parents. And then I decided to come and see you. That enough?
I'm pretty sure that's a different clip, but I'm pretty sure that's what she said in the previous clip, isn't it? When I typed in phone, that's a different clip, but I'm pretty sure they probably asked her just to remember, say what she said before. So that was in this clip?
Sure. Yes, of course, if that would help. Will you phone the house to let me know when you want?
No, it's not that one. Which one was it? She was just talking about that.
So?
No. This one?
Yes.
That's Glasgow. Am I misremembering here?
It was after dinner. I'd spoken to Simon's parents on the phone. I looked up for an early night and I suddenly had this thought. I think it was something his mum had said. She'd be...
No, that's the other thing, isn't it? Should have put that clip down there.
A mobile phone? Yeah. Well, they have one for the Glaziers, but
It's whatever led us to the word phone. I can't remember. That was from the search here. Phone, lawyer, Doug and Eleanor. Was it one of these?
Yeah. I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. My fever, my dust. 1984. Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left.
Key doesn't turn when you
I
try.
walked in.
Hang on. Let's add this to the session. And then back to phone. I want to see if there's any discrepancies over where were we? Because it wasn't phone, was it? Coat. I want to see if there's any discrepancies between this clip
Okay.
and this clip. She says the same thing in each clip. I want to see if we can catch her out here.
Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up.
Okay. So she parks at the end of the road. It's busy, she parks at the end of the road.
Okay. I parked up on the
at the end of the street, it was busy.
So
Parked
I
up at the end of the road.
The end of the road.
Okay. Lines up so far.
Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer.
Okay. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer.
Okay. I parked up on the street.
Wish you could play
It was
these
busy,
side
so I
by
parked
side,
on
it would be
the end of
much
the road.
easier.
I walked up to the house, I
Yep.
knocked on the door,
No
no
answer.
answer.
Okay.
I took my keys
Took
out of
the
my
keys out of the
bag,
bag,
unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. I could tell.
Okay. I think you're about to say the same thing, but
Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left.
yeah. Okay. Doesn't turn when you try and turn it to the left.
Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I parked down the end of the road.
Yeah.
I walked up to the house, I knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag, unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. I could tell because the key wouldn't turn when I tried to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on a peg. I couldn't see his
I mean, she said it wouldn't turn when she tried to turn it to the left, and in the first time,
Okay.
it only turns halfway.
I parked up on the street. It was busy, so
But
I had
that's
to park
not
down the end
really
of the road.
different, is it?
Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left.
Trying to turn it to the left, so okay.
I walked in.
Simon's
Simon's
coat,
coat
not on the peg.
wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe
shoes.
rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper, but he wasn't there. I touched the kettle, it was cold. I looked quickly in the living room, nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric.
Okay, up to Eric. Let's see if there's match. I think this is all matching up, to be honest.
I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I parked down the end of the road.
Yeah.
I walked up to the house. I knocked on the door. No answer.
Checks out.
I took my keys out of my bag, unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked.
Yep.
I could tell because the key wouldn't turn when I tried to turn it to the left.
Yep.
I walked in. Simon's
peg.
coat wasn't on the peg.
Shoes.
I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe
Okay.
rack. I shouted out
Yep.
for him. I walked straight into the kitchen. He usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read
Correct.
his paper. He wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly into the living room. Nothing. I walked upstairs to the bedroom. He wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. Then I had a shower. Whilst I was in the shower, the phone rang. I think it was Eric, his boss. I didn't answer it. Then I came out and I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, but I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me.
Well, I think we've gone
Okay.
down a bit of a red herring maybe
I parked
with
up on the
this.
street.
I think
It was
the
busy, so I
story
had to
seems
park
to be
down the
checking out,
road.
doesn't it?
Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper, but he wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly in the living room. Nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see
I
no
think
one
this
in
is
bed
word
next
for
to me.
word.
And then I remembered
Exactly
where
the
I was
same.
and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. This time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor.
Then I called Doug and Eleanor,
And then I decided to come and see you.
and then you came here, and in the other clip you say exactly the same thing, only now you're a bit more frazzled. I would say you're a bit sharper here.
I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I parked down the end of the road. I walked up to the house. I knocked on the door. No answer. I took my keys out of my bag, unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. I could tell because the key wouldn't turn when I tried to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out for him. I walked straight into the kitchen. He usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper. He wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly into the living room. Nothing. I walked upstairs to the bedroom. He wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. Then I had a shower. Whilst I was in the shower, the phone rang. I think it was Eric, his boss. I didn't answer it. Then I came out and I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, but I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. I spoke to him. Then I called Simon's parents. And then I decided to come and see
Yeah,
you.
that all checks out. I think it was a worthwhile check. But yeah, that all works out. Let's see, what else have I got to so work. I've got got on my list of things. It's given us one more.
No. I'm not sure what Strange would be, but he hasn't been acting odd. He's been busy at work, but nothing too stressful.
Okay. Glasgow, because she mentioned that a lot.
I got in the car and I drove. I just kept driving north. Just kept going, just wanted to get as far away as I could. When I finally stopped, I was all the way up in Glasgow. I was so tired. I just had to sleep. No, I don't think so. Glasgow was deserted that early in the morning. When I arrived in Glasgow, I was exhausted. The streets were empty. I was driving badly. And I hit a taxi. Not a big crash, just paintwork. The guy was so pissed off because I didn't have a driving license on me. But when I told him I was pregnant, he made sure I got to the hospital so they could check me out. It was fine. The hospital must have details when I was looked at. There's a scratch on the car. I wasn't in the house all of Friday night. After the argument, after Simon left, I left too. I was upset and I wanted to get away. So I took the car. I left the next day, Saturday. I slept for a few hours in the car. When I woke up, I came straight back. Simon wasn't returning my calls and I wanted to try and make up. I got back to the house and Simon wasn't there. And I... Excuse me. Is there a bin?
What was that?
Yeah. I pulled over and slept in the car. This was just by the side of the road. I was exhausted.
She's still...
I got pregnant. Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room. And they decided we should get married. Yes, I'm fine.
You sure?
I won't be sick again. This happens some days.
And you don't think it could be...
I'm pregnant.
Aha! I had a
morning
hunch.
sickness.
Even though it's nearly 9 p.m. at night. Yeah, morning sickness. But still, so you're pregnant again, then? What else can we... I did have, I think, from the last playthrough, I had miscarriage. The music's really picking up here. Hang on a second, I've just had a thought. As I... just type that in. I've just had a thought. Do we think... So they've had an argument and things anyway. But do we think Eve has found out she's pregnant again and she has just snapped and she has killed Simon because Hannah is pregnant again?
It was the worst year of my life. A miscarriage and then...
So she's miscarried, but she's pregnant again now.
Yeah. He'd gone to bed feeling ill, thinking it was flu or something. The neighbour called me, I had to use my key to let them in. We found them dead in their bed. And they'd been there for days. No one had noticed. Just awful. It was so soon after my miscarriage. The worst year of my life. I'd been so happy to get married, and after that it was just like, fuck.
Okay, a bit more reflection there.
Yeah. I mean, I was infertile. Thought I was. They told me I was infertile after the miscarriage because of complications.
Or maybe not. What does Eve have to say about
Hannah
this?
had a miscarriage. This was late in the pregnancy and it left her infertile. Felt like the universe had corrected
Wow,
its course.
what a horrible smile. That's your sister.
We were aligned again. But Hannah and Simon were still living with his parents.
So when you
They were
found out
married.
she was pregnant
Simon
again,
had a
you
job at
had
the
him
Glazers
murdered.
and
You murdered
they
him.
were given a full-time position after he left school. And then
Look at her, she's full of jealousy. She is full of jealousy. I think Eve has murdered Simon, or kidnapped him, or done something. Something here. Let's see what else I can check. I kind of want to keep going down this. Maybe jealousy? No. Cheated, maybe? It's not really. Ooh, cheated. Hello.
no, I have never been unfaithful. I've never cheated on Simon.
Sorry, I wasn't really asking you. I want to know what your sister's been up to.
Have I ever cheated on Simon? You asked that question yesterday.
Interesting. Wait. Maybe her sleeve's a bit too high for the...
No, I have never been unfaithful. I've never cheated on
So
Simon.
that's Hannah though, isn't it? This is Eve that they're asking it to today, but she...
Simon never cheated on me. He was devoted to me, and I was devoted to him. Nothing in life is easy. We were good to each other. Life isn't a fairy tale.
Fairy tale. That might be something to look up. Just write that down. Fairy tale.
You're reaching here, and I don't know why.
Because you're very suspicious.
No, I've never cheated on anyone. I've never taken anything from anyone. Simon is dead,
How do you know that?
but I have my baby to care
How do they know Simon's dead?
for. Why are
We
you trying to
haven't.
make me sad?
We haven't had this information.
Why are you so obsessed with sex and affairs?
Sex and affairs.
You
Okay.
cheated on your wife. Is this your thing?
No, but it's riling her up though, isn't it?
It was supposed to be a secret. Just because Simon is dead doesn't mean I have to give up all his secrets. It doesn't have anything to do with
Have
what
I
happened to
missed
Simon.
something here?
No one murdered my husband because he cheated his expenses for a romantic weekend in Oxford.
Okay, well that's brought us some information. So we've got Oxford. For some reason, she keeps saying he's dead. I thought he was just missing. So we've got dead. And we've got affairs, sex and affairs. As well. Okay. So we'll go with, to start with, we'll go with dead because
it's all that matters really, the baby. Simon's dead, but the baby, that's how he will live on. Our baby.
I thought he was just missing all this time. When did he die?
Rehearsed? You ask me the same question, you'll get the same answer. Is that your evidence? Of course I thought about what happened then. It's all I've thought about. My husband is dead.
Okay. Go with sex. I'm a bit confused here. Somewhere along the line here, somewhere, Simon has
Really? You're going to ask me about my sex life?
been
I mean,
found.
isn't that private?
It's bringing up a lot of stuff there, this is.
Are you married? How is your sex life? So, our sex life is probably fairly average for a couple after 10 years of marriage.
Fairly average.
No! You're talking to the wrong person if you think I'm some kind of slut. If you think I'm the kind of person that would have had sex with all those guys.
Do you think they're asking these questions when we're getting cross-wired between talking
I
to
was
two
15.
different people?
Carl was older.
Carl, did we ever look for Carl?
17, I think. I was really into him, regardless of how he actually behaved.
Also, does that tattoo
Not
look a little bit
surprising.
like those ones that you get in a magazine where you put it on with a bit of water and then peel it off and there it's there? Does that look temporary to you?
Stupid.
Because it's got a weird
So
outline
he got
to
tired
me,
of us and we split up after about 6 months.
which could bring back the
It was
schizophrenic
sad,
side of things.
but Those early
So she puts a
experiences, they
tattoo
help
on
you
to be
realise
somebody
who's
else.
really important to you, no? Family.
Because it is a bit odd looking. But it could just be the lighting, the outline. Affairs. 2.
An affair. Simon wasn't having an affair. What did your wife do? She didn't kill you.
Obviously, he's asking you
You think
questions.
I killed Simon because he was having an affair? Well, I didn't kill him. I wasn't even there. I was in Glasgow worrying about whether my baby was still growing inside me. I mean, why would I kill Simon? I loved him.
Okay. Let's go. Let's have a look at Oxford, because clearly Simon
There was a conference, something to do with double glazing.
has gone to Oxford
In
for
Oxford?
something.
Are you sure? What would he be doing in Oxford if there was no conference?
What do you think?
I remember calling him. Said it was boring and he spent most of the time at the bar.
A conference then? That didn't give us a lot. Conference? Yeah, Oh, he didn't give us anything. Okay, back to my list. Got a window, but I think... Oh, no, that's given us one.
No, they were shut. Most of the windows were really hard to open anyway. It's stifling in summer. They were painted over by my dad. Could have left a door open accidentally. Or there's a cat flap in the back door.
No. We quit out for a second there. Carl is what I want to look at next. Who was Carl?
Was he my first? No need to be so coy. No, he wasn't my first. That would have been Carl. He was a local boy in a band.
So in the previous few clips, neither one of them, personalities or different people, would speak about their sex life, but they'll happily talk about Carl.
Family. So, Carl fucked off, and then there were other boys here and there, and then Simon.
Okay.
Differences? She's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I tried to take it and nearly crashed the car. Learned that you can't rely on confidence to get you through everything. She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue him. It was that way with Carl. Hannah met him first. She had such a crush. I let him take my virginity after a night that his band had played at. It got difficult. When I was with Carl, we would have sex, but Hannah couldn't let him see she was a virgin. She had lots of excuses. After a while, we decided that I should take Hannah's virginity.
What?
It's not that different to a bruise, pulling a tooth, a graze. We used a hairbrush. After that, we took it in turns, though. I was always the one who seduced the boys. Until Simon.
Okay, if they really are two different people, that is messed up. If you did that to your sister with a hairbrush, what? I mean, couldn't she just do it to herself? Okay. I'm going to go in with fairy tale.
Sorry. The picture, the way it's drawn, just reminded me of the books we used to read as children. I read those fairy tales over and over, and they were so real to me. Rapunzel was my favourite. My brain is just full of it. Are any of these in colour?
Okay, we'll have a look for Rapunzel as well in a second. Rapunzel.
And the Glaziers. I worked there some weekends, and Simon had a part-time job there too. That was Eric's generosity. He was always good at helping out other people's children. Simon was quiet, more thoughtful than the other boys. Even then, he had a sense of craftsmanship. Wasn't always rushing stuff. Boys that age are just running around like headless chickens most of the time. Yeah. Plus, he had that look. You look like a fairy tale prince from one of my books. Fairy tales. Stories about lost princesses, evil witches, magical mirrors and lost children. So you see, even before I knew the truth, I'd found it in those stories.
I think we'll have a look at stories as well in a second. Let's just have a look at Rapunzel.
Did I pass? I'm sorry I messed it up with all that Rapunzel stuff. Do you need me to do that card again?
Oh, she was doing those ink blot test card things when she went a little bit crazy.
We were obsessed with fairy tales. Not just the pretty, pretty ones, but the traditional ones. They were dark and real, bizarre and violent. Felt like life. We had this huge old book that I think Mum must have bought from a library sale. The illustrations had thin tracing paper over them to protect them. They were in colour, shiny plates. At the front of the book was an index of illustrations. We read that more than the actual stories. We'd read aloud the captions and flip between the pictures. There was something intimate about peeling back the tracing paper, undressing the pictures. Rapunzel's hair was cut. The eagle plucks out his heart. The princess pricks her finger.
Okay, I think we're going to leave it there for now, for this video. We've been going more than an hour, so I think we'll leave it there. But I'm pretty confident in the next video we should get to the bottom of this mystery. I think if we have a look at the DB checker down here, so this is database. These are the ones we've watched, these ones are the ones we haven't watched, so we're well over halfway through, I reckon. So we should just have about a quarter of these left to watch, and then hopefully we'll get to the bottom of this mystery. That's going to be in the next episode. If you did enjoy this one, make sure you leave it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you for the next episode of this and for many other videos very soon.